Good evening, and I'm Eric Carrera, and this is Awesome News, the studio newscast you can count on in Central Texas. Tonight, we will kick things off with major events happening this weekend, including the Committee on Public Education. Hi, my name's Eric Herrera, and your name?
I'm Dash Koska, a music ed major at UT.
And what brings you here today?
So I'm here to testify against HB3, which is a school voucher bill. Essentially what HB3 would do is send public tax dollars to private schools by giving families a voucher to send their kids to private school. But really all it's doing is it's just stealing money from our public schools and sending it to private schools. And that's why I'm really concerned. And it's really just welfare for the wealthy. It's the people who are going to benefit from this are not poor families, it's the rich.
What's one thing that other than that's caught your eye would be a really negative impact to a lot of the disproportionate families?
Well, so I'm a music education student, so I'm going to be a band director. And a couple of weeks ago, there was this guy who he's the editor of the Texas Football Magazine. This is not like some uber Democrat guy. Said that school vouchers will result in school districts cutting extracurricular programs, including football. Now, football is like king in the state of Texas. I think we all know that. And if they're coming after football, you know they're going to come after band. They're going to come after orchestra programs in our high schools. And regardless of whether you're a band kid or not, whether you studied music in high school, this concerns all of us because band programs provide a social glue for high schoolers who, right now, they're facing record levels of depression, loneliness, suicide rates are up among kids. It's because kids feel detached from society. Social media is making kids depressed. They feel lonely. It gives them that social glue. And if you talk to parents, other than things like making sure they have enough money to feed their kids, enough money to send their kids to college, the number one thing that they're going to tell you that they're concerned about their kids right now is that their kids are lonely, they're depressed, and they don't have purpose in life. Extracurricular programs like band programs, which I'm going to be a band director, are vital for high school kids. High school kids cannot go through high school just learning English and math and science. They're great. Like, we need to teach them, but if you think that's the only thing high school kids can do, it's not going to be enough. That's why we need band programs. And I'm telling you, if the moment that our state faces a deficit, they are going to cut so much money from band programs and other extracurricular activities. It's really going to harm our state. And that's why I'm so passionate about opposing HB3. So I was actually here in the month of January to oppose the Senate version because the Senate always passes this bill. The Senate's a lot more conservative than the House. But this thing is going to come up again and again and again until they pass it. And the problem is they want to wear us out, right? They did this in 2021. They did it in 2023. The governor called 4 special sessions. 4. Like, record number, just so he could pass this bill. Then, when he didn't get it passed, he primaried all the people that didn't vote for it. So he's going to do it over and over again. They want to tire us out so that we give in and we say, fine, we do this so many times. Eventually, we just have to get it over with, end the pain. And what we're saying is we do not stop fighting. So I'm going to be here every single time. I was here when it was in the Senate. I'm here today because it's in the House. When it comes to the floor, I'm going to be there. And if we have to call a special session because the governor is being a complete spoiled brat, I'll be here again and again and again. I will speak up for public schools.
What date is that scheduled to be on the floor?
We don't know yet. The speaker usually schedules that. Right now, we're having the hearing today. So we'll find out. But
the hearing will be later, or it was earlier?
Hearing's going on today. So we've had expert testimony. I'm not an expert. So I'm just somebody who gets public testimony. I get 2 minutes to publicly testify. And after I publicly testify, then the hearing will be over probably really late tonight. It'll probably pass the committee. We'll have to see. Maybe a couple Republicans will vote against it. Then it'll make it to the floor. And hopefully then we can get enough Republicans to kill it, maybe get some amendments to make it, if they're going to pass it, we make some amendments to make it less bad.
Where exactly is it, if people wanted to come and hear this today, where could they find it at?
I don't remember the exact room. I'll have to look at it because I'll have to be there eventually. It's the House Education Committee, Public Education Committee. There across the Capitol there are signs that point you to the room, but it's probably on this level.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, and look forward to seeing you in the future if this winds up going in to the floor.
Yeah, I probably will. All right, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Eric Herrera. Your name again?
I'm Stephen Alaman.
And your specialty?
I'm with this organization called Disability Rights Texas.
Yes. And
We'll talk.
what's your take on this? Is this would this be a positive impact, or does this poses future problems?
I think that we are registered against the legislation because we don't really see it as a viable solution for all kids with disabilities in our state. There may be a select few who can benefit, but given the amount of money being spent on this program, there's greater rewards to be achieved by investing in the public schools.
So there are going to be there is the possibility that there is going to be a few or probably probably a higher amount of individuals that would not benefit. There's a possibility.
I think most students with disabilities would not find anything beneficial from this program. There are going to be a handful that might find, like we were discussing a moment ago, a very highly recognized private school for children with disabilities, but those are so few and far between. Most parents wouldn't be able to get into those facilities, certainly not to be able to get into them at the expense that the tuition that they're charged. So it really is sort of a false promise or false hope of choice when you really don't have any options to choose from. That's the dilemma. And so if you're going to spend $1 billion, let's just spend it on kids where they are in public schools to begin with. That's our argument.
And then with the influx of people coming in to Texas from different states, it sounds. And I'm not trying to take a side on it, but is it a possibility that the current system that they have would is effective?
Our public school system is growing and growing in terms of the number of students with disabilities being identified, meaning the cost to the system is growing and growing. So we want, in theory, the $1 billion set aside for this, invested in those costs because those are known costs that we have to meet in the public school system. So, as I said, it's really sort of just a luxury to have this system. It's a luxury we really can't afford, given the growing needs of students with disabilities in Texas.
So there is that possibility where, like how you mentioned before, that there's going to be quite a few, not a few, but there's going to be a high amount of people that are just not going to benefit from it.
Correct, yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Very good.
For your time.
Sure.
Yes. One question here. Your name again? Just John, right?
Josh.
And Josh, and last name?
Howard. COWE.
A lot of UT students feel that if this passes, it could affect their institution and other.
I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed.
It's okay, not at all.
Had to deal with Texas. Crazy.
This is what happens.
Is this something that you foresee that is possible? That if this
I
would,
think any dollars that go away from public schools is going to be a problem for kids and families when we're talking about taxpayer dollars. All right?
yes.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So my name's Eric, and your name?
My name's Gabriel. I'm a student here. I just want to bring up that, so HB3 is a bill that is meant to take away funding from public schools and transform that money into vouchers, which is basically a subsidy for children to go to private schools. But the issue with that is that the subsidy isn't large enough. It's only I think $8,000 to $10,000, which is not enough to cover the full cost of a private education. Meaning that the bill, all it will do is just damage and make our public schools even worse, while making it cheaper for those who are already rich enough to go to private schools. And an important thing about this is that private schools don't have the same requirements as public schools. For example, they can turn away anyone. They don't necessarily need disability accessibility, and they can be religious or not. So all this will do is just hamper the education of people in Texas. It also, might I add, that private schools aren't always in the area for people. Sometimes they might not even be within an hour of where a student is living. And with our public schools being less funded, it could shut down these schools and prevent education for a lot of people in Texas.
So, and when is this bill supposed to pass?
I don't know when it's supposed to be passed, but there is going to be a hearing on it tomorrow. So Tuesday, March 11th, there's going to be a hearing. And basically, at the hearing, you have people who can go to testify, speak for it, speak against it, invitated, and you can be, invited. You can be invited. There's non-invitational for people who aren't invited to speak on the bill, but who want to speak regardless.
And that would be tomorrow in the morning or at?
It's like kind of an all-day thing. I don't remember exactly when it starts, but these can go on for a while, especially when there's a lot of people on contentious issues like this.
And that's at the Capitol, state
This
Capitol.
is at the state capitol, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and the reason why testifying is useful is because when they're passing these bills, they have to watch the testimonies, and whether it convinces them or not, it adds to the time, and it can just make it more annoying and more difficult to pass just by the length of it.
Hey, could I have your full name?
Gabriel Luck,
And your what major?
history and economics.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you for that information about this bill.
Yeah, no problem.
You have a good afternoon.
You too.
Question.
My name's Eric, and your name again?
Christina Morales, State Rep for District 145 in Houston.
And the concerns with HB3. Do you have concerns on that?
Absolutely. We have a website called don'tdefundmyschool.com, and you can look at your school district. Our school district stands to lose millions of dollars if this bill passes, and we can't afford to lose a penny. Another thing is that there's not equity. If there's a private school child and a public school child, public school children have more rights. Children are protected, they're accountable. But if you put your child in a private school, there's not the same accountability. They don't take the STAR test. And there's so many other issues that we are concerned about. But also, there's not enough room in every private school for every kid in Texas. This would only help a select few. It would be 100,000 children. And there are millions of children in Texas, and they would not have that same benefit. So if a child is in private school, their parents already have the money to pay for them to be in private school, and they have that choice to be there, and we support that. But let's not mess with our public schools. Our public schools need funding, and we do not support a voucher scheme that is only for the wealthy.
Yeah, I've noticed that you mentioned that a voucher scam.
Yes, it is a scam. We've already looked at it in and out, and the governor's only pushing it because he received a $12 million donation from Mr. Yaz, or whatever his name is, that wants this to pass because he stands to make a lot of money. Mr. Yaz does. So this is a very lucrative business for somebody, and it shouldn't be at the expense of our children. So I wholeheartedly oppose, as do the Democrats in the Texas State House. We oppose voucher schemes, voucher scams, and we support our public school system.
And one last one. Do you think this has a potential affecting UT Austin, the funding in the future?
It has the potential to impact everything. And UT Austin is part of our public school system. So yes, it could potentially affect UT Austin as well. But right now, this is more based on our K through 12 schools, but we want to make sure that UT Austin is protected as well.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you.
This week at South by Southwest brings innovation on the future to Austin universities across the country, including UT Austin, are facing financial uncertainty. In response to concerns over federal funding, many institutions have been imposing hiring freezes, putting faculty and staff recruitment on hold. At UT Austin, administrators are closely monitoring potential budget impacts, warning that delays in federal funding decisions could affect academic programs and resources. Other universities are taking similar precautions, bracing for possible financial constraints in the months ahead. The situation arises concerns among students and faculty about the long-term effects on education, research, and job opportunities. AUSIM News will continue to follow this developing story. In the next weekly roundup, we turn our attention to a major global development. The United Nations has issued a critical warning about rising impact of extreme weather, urging immediate action to address climate-related disasters, which heat waves, wildfires, and storms infesting worldwide. Experts stress the urgent need for stronger climate politics and readiness. That wraps up this edition of AUSIM News Weekly Roundup. For the major events of South by Southwest and UT Austin SGA, to our watchdog report on HB3 EVAs, we're covered the stories that mattered most to our community. Stay tuned for more updates throughout the week and be sure to follow us for the latest news. For AUSIM